Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's the Professional here. So today I wanted to make a video talking about a game that I really like, and a game that I consider the best game of 2019, which that was Days Gone. Now, a few people had asked me to make this video, and as you guys know, if you've watched a lot of my videos on, talking about gaming news, I really don't like rumor talk. I don't like talking about rumors. I don't like talking about speculation stuff. And the reason I generally don't like talking about that is because there's no evidence behind it. There's not really any credibility behind leaks and rumors. And this is why I really hate the GTA 6 leaks. I just think it's stupid. And I don't talk about that nonsense. But in this case here, I have a game that means a lot to me, a game that I really like, and we do have a little bit of evidence behind what's going on here, because we have the game director for Ben Studios that is actually liking tweets of people that are saying that they're disappointed that Days Gone 2 has been canceled, and neither Sony nor Ben Studios will confirm or deny these rumors. If these rumors are, causing a lot of controversy, you'd think that Sony or Ben Studios, that they'd simply just come out right now after all of this and just say, no, this is not true. We're developing Days Gone 2. So basically what has happened was Bloomberg had published an article a few days ago, and it was written by Jason Schreier. And he basically wrote in that article arguing that Days Gone 2 had been canceled because Sony did not think that the title was profitable enough, that it took apparently too long to develop. They didn't think that it was just popular enough. And apparently they are moving people from Ben Studios into Naughty Dog, or moving them into a new project to help develop The Last of Us 1's remake. Now, like I was saying, we don't know 100% whether this is true or not. I'm just going off of what's here, and I got a little bit of evidence on this, because we got Jeff Ross, who was the former director of Ben Studios. He's no longer director there, but he basically says that Jason Schreier takes his job seriously, and he kind of praises him. So you'd think that possibly he could say, no, this is not true, but instead he's saying that he's a good journalist here, right after he makes this article. And on top of that, he's also been liking tweets of people, like I said, that were saying that they were disappointed that Days Gone 2 was canceled, supposedly canceled. And he made a tweet later on in which he stated that, what he likes, and what he likes is just him on Twitter. Not to necessarily mean anything. I get that and all. He's probably under an NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement. But I just think that it's really suspicious when you have a former director liking tweets of people saying that they're disappointed with Sony for canceling Days Gone 2. I think that right there can speak a lot. Now, the reason that I'm particularly pissed off about this is because Days Gone is one of my favorite games. Like I said, I've considered Game of the Year for 2019. I think it's an awesome, amazing open world game. I just love the world in the game. I love the mountains of Oregon. It shows a setting that not a lot of people know about. You don't really have games that are set in the wilderness of Oregon. The infected in the game, or, people like to call them zombies, they're different. They're unique. They run, they climb. There's different types. And at the very end of the game, we find out something specific about them, which I'm actually going to talk about later on in this video. So don't worry, I'm going to warn you when I'm going to talk spoilers. But there's a major cliffhanger that I also want to address. So there's a story behind the infected. The infected are technically alive, unlike in other games where they're just zombies, they're reanimated corpses. In Days Gone, the people are very much alive. It's just a virus that just completely rotted their brains. So we follow the story of Deacon St. John, which I made a review of Days Gone about a year ago, and he is a biker in this world trying to survive with his friend Boozer, and he meets a lot of people along the way. I just love the characters in this game. I love Deacon, I love Boozer, Captain Curry, Iron Mike. There's so many interesting, awesome characters in this game, and I love the story. It's actually one of the longest games I've played. Had a lot of fun with it. I don't really want to talk too much about the story here, because the focus of this video is talking about Days Gone 2 being supposedly canceled, but this game did really well, and it ended up being the most profitable game that Ben Studios has ever made. It sold more copies than all of their other games combined. That says alone that they know what they're doing with this game. People really like this game, and it just breaks my heart because they have confirmed that if they were to make a Days Gone 2, if they were to make one, it would actually have co-op and online in it. How cool would that be? An online world in Days Gone. That world of Days Gone where you could try to survive with your friends. I think that would be awesome. You could try to scavenge, craft, get gasoline for your bike. I think that'd be cool. I think co-op would be awesome in a game like that. I just don't want it ruining the immersion of single player because I still want a good single player. I want to know how Deacon's story progresses, what happens with him. But other than that, I'm open to co-op also in the game. I think that that could be a great feature. I think that that would be awesome. And it's such a shame that Sony doesn't see the potential in this series. They don't see what this series could be. This series couldn't just be a Days Gone 2. We could also have a Days Gone 3. It could be a massive series and a massive success for them. And they're just throwing it away because supposedly it's risky for them. And as for The Last of Us 1, that is being supposedly remade, I think that's stupid. And I think a lot of people can agree with me that is stupid. Why does The Last of Us 1 deserve a remake? Why? We have it on PS3, which was a fine game, and then it was brought over to PS4 a year later. And when it was brought over to PS4 a year later, it was remastered. The graphics are noticeably different. In the PS4 version, the game runs much smoother and much better on the PS4 version. But yet, for some strange reason, apparently, we are getting a Last of Us 1 remake. Why? The Last of Us 1 remake, if it would be a remake, I guess it would be with a brand new engine, but it wouldn't really be any different than the original game. Why do we need that? We don't. So basically, what they're doing is, you had Last of Us 1, you had a remaster, and now we're getting a remake of a remaster? Is that right? Is that logic that I'm making there right? And what, are they going to remake the multiplayer too? I mean, come on. This is just ridiculous. It does not deserve it does not deserve a remake. Sony is basically just trying to milk The Last of Us 2. And as for the whole review thing, here's what I'm going to say about the whole review thing. Reviews don't really matter that much. They don't. Because especially from the critics, I'm going to tell you something. The critics are dumb a lot of times when they review things, and they're wrong. Yes, everybody is entitled to their opinion, but I can also say that a lot of times the critics are dumb and they're wrong. And a lot of people, I bet, can agree with me on that. And for example, I'll give you guys a perfect example of this. So I saw Rambo Last Blood in 2019. And that movie got some pretty bad reviews. And people were saying, the movie was too gory, it was too violent. These people don't know what they're talking about. It's a Rambo movie. Of course it's going to be gory, and of course it's going to be violent. So people were just dumb, and that was just a movie there alone. The average people that saw Rambo, everyone that I talked to, they liked Rambo Last Blood. I thought it was a great Rambo movie. I don't think it was the best Rambo movie, but regardless, I think it was a good Rambo movie. Now, this is important to differentiate between, what the average person thinks and what the critic thinks, because there can be big differences. So let's take a look at this right now. If Sony is just so obsessed with these reviews, look at this. This is Days Gone on Metacritic. Now, Days Gone on Metacritic, it has 71. So the critics gave it a 71. Kind of mediocre, not great, not terrible, just mediocre review. But the user score, look at the user score on the right there, 8.3. So generally, the average gamer actually likes it. The average gamer does like it, but the critics don't. Well, why is that? The critics had actually hammered this game for glitches, but most of the glitches had been fixed. Yes, some glitches were annoying, but they were fixed. And they also called the gameplay repetitive. But I didn't think anything was really repetitive, so I don't know what they were talking about. I like the open world game. I like clearing out the hordes, crafting. I don't know what they're talking about when they say repetitive. I had one video on my channel where I played this game for 7 hours straight. Yeah, that's right. You can go on my channel, look up my Days Gone playthrough. I played this game for 7 hours straight on one part. And I did not get bored. I wanted to keep playing and playing. And the only reason that I stopped after 7 hours is because I got to the ending. That was the only reason that I stopped right there. And I wanted to take a break because I was tired. But the point that I'm making is that I didn't feel that it was repetitive, and I wanted to keep playing. Now let's take a look at The Last of Us Part 2 on Metacritic. Let's look at this right here. So it has a 93 for universal acclaim for 121 critic reviews. And then you have a user score of 5.7. So basically, it's the opposite here, where the critics absolutely love the game, and the average gamer thinks the game is mediocre or terrible. Yes, I know there's people that like this game, but from all of the scores that we have here, from the average reviewer, from the average gamer, they're basically saying that they consider the game mediocre or that they don't like it. And I'm going to tell you, this score was actually even lower. It was much lower before, because I remember when Metacritic started deleting reviews. They were deleting reviews, and you guys remember when Sony was actually copyright striking people when they were simply talking about the leaks last year on the story in The Last of Us 2. There was people who weren't even posting pictures or video all they were doing was just talking about what was in the leaks, and they were getting copyright struck from Sony. And yet all the reviewers did not talk about this at all. All the critics did not talk about what Sony was doing. They weren't talking about the fact that the average reviews were getting deleted. They just completely ignored that and gave this game high scores. So the point that I'm making right here is that critic reviews don't always matter. It matters what the average gamer thinks. What the average gamer thinks and how many copies the game ultimately sells. And like I said, Days Gone sold surprisingly well. The game did really well. So you can't always base it based on what the critics think. Because the critics, they can be wrong. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. I get that. But I can also point out that a lot of times the critics don't know what they're talking about. Now, at the final part of this video, I wanted to talk about a major spoiler. So if you haven't played through Days Gone, I would suggest that you stop watching this video at this point because I'm going to talk a major spoiler. So at the very end of the game, and I have a video explaining this. I'll link this at the end if anybody wants to check this out. There is a major cliffhanger, and I love that even after the credits, we get this one final secret mission. You go to meet O'Brien at the end of the game, and when you meet O'Brien, Deacon's not really taking him seriously, but then he actually takes off his helmet, and you can see that O'Brien is actually half human and half freaker. So he's an intelligent infected. That's exactly what he is. And he is telling Deacon that the infected are getting smarter, they're getting more intelligent, and that there's nothing that Deacon can do to stop that. And there's a lot of other questions that we have after this ending, and that is, are they some kind of infected hybrid? And it comes down to it that this virus, the Freaker virus, was being weaponized. They were trying to make a weapon out of this. And what does this mean for Days Gone 2? Are we actually going to be fighting infected that are extremely intelligent? Because the hordes in the game are already scary, but imagine fighting extremely intelligent hordes. And that's what makes this ending really scary. You freak out when you see this ending because you have never experienced something like this in a zombie game. Have you ever experienced intelligent zombies? Yes, I know they're not technically zombies, they're the infected, they're freakers. But have you ever experienced really intelligent infected enemies in a game like this? The Last of Us doesn't have really intelligent infected like this. Yes, it has infected that are dangerous, but it doesn't have infected that have critical skills. The infected do not have the ability to think for themselves. Imagine having infected that can actually think for themselves. That's very scary, and I think they played their cards right with this, and I really want to see what type of enemies we're going to encounter in Days Gone 2, if it ever comes out. But I'll link, at the end of this video here at the bottom in the description, I'll link a petition that's actually going around that people want a Days Gone 2 made, so if you feel the same way about this as I do and you want a Days Gone 2 made, then sign the petition. I already have, but I just really disappointed with Sony if this is true. I really hope it isn't. I want a Days Gone 2. I love the story. I love Deacon. I love all the characters. I love the setting. It deserves a sequel, especially after that cliffhanger. They better make a sequel. They owe it to us. The Last of Us does not deserve a remake. Sony should stop trying to milk this game and try to make new IPs and make them better. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone.